here's the last page of the review. So on number 14, which equation is represented by the figure in the graph? So it could be any one of our conic sections. It could be a circle, it could be a hyperbola, a parabola, or an ellipse. And so what we decided to do was to go ahead and maybe do a circle. And from that circle, we said we're going to have a radius of 3 and that my center was located at, I think 2, 4 was what we said. Okay, so when we have the equation of a circle, it is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And my center is at hk. So now that I know what my center is, I can go ahead and write my equation. So I have x minus 2 squared plus y minus 4 squared. See how the h and the k come in? Equals, and then my radius is 3, so I square that and I end up with 9. So there's my equation. All right, 15. This one's a little bit more involved. An ellipse has a foci 3, 2, and 3, 8, and a minor axis of length 6. For those of you that have me, we didn't really talk about minor axis and major axis. A minor axis is twice your B value, and then a major axis is going to be twice your A value. All right, so let's see first if this thing is going vertically or horizontally. And the way we're going to do that is to go ahead and plot our foci, because our foci go in the same direction as our vertices, which is the fat part of our ellipse. So if I have 3, 2, let's say that's right about here, and then 3, 8, that would be right around here. So if that's my foci, that means that my ellipse is going to be in this direction. So it's going to be vertical. So what that means is that A is going to be attached to Y if vertical, right? Because remember that A is the largest number. So we want that to be attached to your vertical. If A would be attached to X if it's horizontal. Okay, so we know those pieces. All right, so let's take a look at what we have. If the minor axis is 2b, right? If 2b equals 6, that means that b is equal to 3. So I know that b is equal to 3. And then I can find what my focus is, okay? So right here is going to be my center. And so that is 3 over, because it's on the same plane as my foci, and it's going to be the midpoint between 2 and 8. So the way I handle that is 2 plus 8 divided by 2 is going to be 10 over 2 is going to be 5. So that is my midpoint between 2 and 8. I use the midpoint formula. That's what I did there. All right. To find C. C would be the distance between my foci. This should be center. Hopefully that doesn't get you confused. Your difference between your foci and your center. So if I go from 5 to 8, that's a C value of 3. Remember, C squared is equal to A squared minus B squared for an ellipse. So don't forget that. If I'm solving for A squared, it's going to be C squared plus B squared equals A squared. So that's going to be 9 plus 9 equals A squared. So that equals 18. And A is going to equal the square root of 18. Okay? We aren't graphing it. It just wants the standard equation. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that information there. Because it's vertical, remember I always start out with my x, it's just easier, and I use that center information. So x minus 3 squared over my b squared, so that would be 9, because my x value is the minor axis, or my co-vertices. And then I'm going to add that to y minus 5 squared over my a squared, which is 18. And that whole thing is going to equal 1. So this is my equation from the information that it gave me. All right. 16. Which of the following equations is represented by the following graph? So we picked a parabola. We know that there's a couple characteristics here, right? So we need to know, is it up and down, which would be associated with x squared, or is it side to side? Okay, that would be associated with y squared. So I see that this is side to side, right? So this is what I've got, side to side. Then I have to decide if it's plus or minus. If it's facing the right, it's positive, and if it's facing the left, it's negative, all right? So I know that so far I have y squared, and then we have a positive parabola. My formula for this, now that I know that it's y squared, is going to be y minus k quantity squared equals 4p times x minus h. No square on that. Okay, this is the only one that only has one square. All right, so what is 4p? P itself, let me go ahead and put this over here as part of our process. P is going to be the distance between, so it's the distance from one of two things. From the focus to the vertex, or from the vertex to the directrix. Okay, so in this case, I have the distance from the directrix to my vertex, and that's going to be p. So if p is equal to, I have 3, and then I have -1. So 3 minus a -1 gives me a value of 4. So p is equal to 4. I'm looking for the distance between there, right? This is x minus 1. That's x equals 3. The difference between there is 4. So that means that 4p is going to equal to 4 times 4, which is 16. So now I can go ahead and write my equation. Here's my vertex, and that goes in for hk, right? So now I have y minus 2 squared equals 16 x minus 8. Sorry, not h. X minus 3. X minus 3. Okay? So that is my equation for a parabola. If you're having difficulty with any of these concepts, you can always go back to the playlist for either the vectors or the conic section. Both of those are located in the math hallway as QR codes for quarter 3. And good luck on your benchmark exam.